I got you, people. So what I'm gonna talk about is about relationships, about family, and people that I got a broken relationships or family, whether it's a female or male. Usually, a person that has a family should not be hanging out with single people, right? Because when if you have a family, you should be hanging out with family-minded people that go out as a family, take the kids, and they do things together. Because single people have no idea what a family is, or they can't get a family, or they can't date because they're bitter and their life is chaos and they don't got nothing going for themselves. What they do is go to these family gatherings and destroy other people's families by telling them that you're already of age, you live your life, you should be enjoying yourself, and that don't work. The reason why they do that is because their life is bitter and they want to take everybody down the same path. So a female that has a family and has a relationship shouldn't be hanging out or listening or getting advice with these single people that don't have no idea how to stay intact with a family or what it takes to handle a family, because they don't have the capacity, because they can't hold a relationship, and they don't know how to interact with another person to keep a relationship. Everything they do is negative, that they don't need anyone, that they could do it by themselves. But believe me, these people are bitter and they dare to destroy other people's relationship or families. That's what they do, right? And if you're gonna take their advice, you're gonna end up the same way they are, bitter losers. Everything goes wrong for these people because they don't have nobody, they don't know how to interact. They think they know it all, right? Nobody that doesn't have no family cannot give you no advice on how to treat a family, how to conduct yourself. Everything they do is chaos. All they like to do is gossip about other people and things like that, make fun of other people. Why? Because they're not happy themselves. So the only way to get these things out of their mind, their frustration, is getting on other people's, right? Talking about them, making them gossip, making fun of them. But deep inside of them, they broken and they bitter because they don't have a family of their own. That's why I say when you have a family, you shouldn't be thinking about trying to be a teenage person again, because you're not. You should have been done all these things. You should have been exploring, having how many men or guys you're gonna be intimate at that young age, that you have energy and things like that, that you can maintain yourself, and you can continue. Something goes wrong, you can always correct yourself. But if you're gonna do that in the older age, nobody is gonna take a woman that's 40, 50, 60 years old, that you think you're gonna be a teenager hanging around, bouncing around with men, thinking that's gonna work. It's not gonna work. You're just gonna get used the same way the other person was getting used that gave you that advice, and you're never gonna land into a relationship, and you're gonna then end up lonely, and you're gonna think about it that you made a mistake, and it's gonna be too late, because that other person probably ain't not gonna be interested no more, because you let them go. It's not easy to start a relationship again once you have put all these years and all this time, right? Because everybody in any relationship got problems. There's no such thing as 100% proof relationship. You got to have the mentality on the intellectual. Usually people where they don't have education, or they don't read, or they don't talk to family members that got family. Don't go out and talk to single people that are out in the street that all they do is date all kinds of people and they don't get nowhere. Then they complain why they can't get a man or a woman, because you don't have the ability to keep a relationship going. That's the problem. Most of these women are bitter and singles because of that. They think they know it all. They think they could do the same thing as a teenager when they're 40, 50, and 60. No. Nobody wants to do that all over again. That's why most men at that age they want to stay single, stay alone, because they don't want to go through the same thing again, being committed so a girl could come up with the same thing. You didn't learn your lesson the first, second time, you're not going to learn it the third time. Ain't nobody got time for that, because it takes years to understand a person, their habits, and things like that, right? So girls, women, they delusional. To them, everything is a fantasy. They just like to, people believe more a lie, especially women. They believe more a lie than the truth. If a man is telling you the truth, how he feels about you, you won't believe it. But if he tells you a lie, you believe it. That's how they are. That's how come the women always like the stronger man, the man that rejects them, because that's a true rejection. But when a man tells you all these sweet things, you know, like that, you know how many times women hear that? How many times a man would say that to a woman? You're not the first time that this man came up to you and threw you flowers and gave you all this thing and make you feel sweet again and lovely. No, they do that all the time. Men do that all the time. You want to get the girl, you're going to have to soften them up to get them comfortable until he gets what he wants. Once he gets what he wants, he's going to be comfortable. It's the same thing. Doesn't matter how, is you skinny woman, fat woman, it's all going to be the same thing. You know, there's no magic way to get intimacy with a woman. You know, once you did all that, that's it. There's no other man that's gonna give you something different, and there's no other woman that's gonna give you something different. It's gonna go in, it's gonna go out. That's it. Two-way in and one way out. It doesn't matter what you do, while you do it, the stroke is gonna be in and out. That's it, and that's all you're gonna get. Women are fantasizing, they're looking for a white knight and a horse or whatever, you know, these movie things. But it's not true. Usually women let go of something that is already built, and you know, you have to deal with it, you know. I learned from experience watching relationship that, you know, it takes hard work to stay in a relationship. Once you break a relationship, it's hard to go back, and it's hard to start a new one, because within 1 month, 2 months, it's all right. You know, past 6 months, that's when the trouble kicks in, because you already settled down and you don't want to go out. You don't want to say no more sweet stuff to the girl because you already conquered her, she conquered you. And all that is going to end. So everything's going to, you know, fall back. So that's why most girls can't get a man, because that's how they think. They think that a man is supposed to be 100% perfect, and the woman thinks she's perfect, but nobody in human life is perfect. And you know, and men's deal with that all the time. Men try to hold all this aggravation, all this bitterness from these women, but when we get bitter and things like that, and we retaliate, they say, "Oh, you don't understand. You're just taking it out on me." No, men are as calm as they can. But a woman, she ain't nice, and in one moment they think, they assume things, you know, they speculate things, and they think it's true, and whatever. Even if it's true, you know, you gotta talk things out, because that's the way things work. But no cursing and yelling and kicking and always causing trouble is not gonna get you nowhere in life. And that's another thing. Women are always complaining and yelling. If they will concentrate more in their life, instead of getting advice from another single person that got no relationship and no family, that doesn't know what it is to run a family and keep a family and take care of a family, and how hard it is to raise kids, they have no business listening to them. That's why most of these relationships with women are destroyed. And man don't want to deal with that. No man is going to take care of another man's child. I know I'm not. I don't know if that man is going to do that, but no man is stupid, because he's inside that relationship to tap that rear end, and that's it. Once he gets that, maybe in a few months or whatever, he's going to get tired and move on and say, "Listen, I ain't going to go for that. She already got a kid. She already did her life, and I'm not going to step in and take her bitterness, and then I got to handle that." No. As soon as he gets tired, whatever, he's just going to walk out and do the same thing. That's what happens. You know, even girls, most girls think they can do that. And they are single, destroy in life, and their life is ruined, and that's why they don't care, and they start hopping and doing all kinds of crazy things, and that's why how things happen, and then they want to blame the world, because of him. So I'm like, there's no, because of you, because you chose that way of life. Nobody can tell you what to do. You decide on your own free will of what you're gonna do. You don't have to follow anything anybody says. Not me, not somebody, not your family member. It's your life, and you decide how you want to live it. You want to live a single life, you live a single life. If you want to have a family, you stick to a family rule, the family guidelines. I don't know if there's a family guidelines or whatever, but back in the days, our families, our grandparents stood as long as they can together, and they knew everybody had problems, but they knew that. I mean, at those times, I didn't know, because the family was always partying and all that. But at this time of age, it's rare to see a couple that's together and goes out with their children together, right? They're always alone, going out, and most women don't go out because they can't handle the kids on their own. That's why most of these kids are out in the street getting in trouble with the law, and they do whatever they want. Then when they get canceled, the parents want to come out that he was a good kid. No, you wasn't even raising your kid right, and you never probably let him have a father figure, or the father spoke bad about the mother, or the mother spoke bad about the father. That's another. Everybody puts animosity on each other and put the kids in the middle where they shouldn't do that. As I break up, I don't talk bad about the kid's mother. Hopefully the mother don't talk bad about me, but mostly the mothers always try to put some negativity on the kids about why their father left or why she left them. She always got an excuse, but if she brings another man in, she wants the kids to respect a man that's got nothing to do with them. That's another problem. That's why most of the kids grow bitter and have problems with associating themselves with other people that they don't know about. But the parents want to force them to respect the man she's with now. That's got nothing to do with them. And there's the other man also got to respect that that's not your child. Before you try to discipline the child, hit them, you could give them advice, things like that, but you don't try to force your will on a kid that's not yours. And women's gotta know, no man that's not the biological father or the mother of that child is gonna respect that child. It's two different things. That's not their biological kids. The respect is not gonna be there, and the feelings and love is not gonna be there for them children's. Anyway, people, with that, I'll let you go and you think about that. Don't take advice from single people if you got a family, because these people will break up your family before. Anyway, and you also notice that when these people make you break up with your partner, you see, and a few months later, the same girl that told you that your man is no good, she be texting him or try to call him, try to contact him, and ask her where he's at or where he's been or what he's been doing. That will give you rings in your mind what kind of person you was talking to, that now she's asking questions about your ex. But anyway, with that, I'll let you go and you think about that.